Hey, what's happening guys? Mark back here in the workshop. Today we're going to put some of the little tiger shrimps that we've had in the mini pond down there. They've been coming on in there now for quite some time since we put them on. Sorry, since we put them in. And I put the bottle trap in there last night. You can just see it, the old simple ones that you can make out of a Coke bottle. Or any bottle, to be honest, any plastic bottle. You just get the old lid and invert it in. You must have seen those done before. I've got a video on that as well, I think. If you haven't, pop back and see that. Just basically cut the lid off like that, and if you can see there, you just pop it in that way. Put some food in there and leave it overnight. Make sure you put a few little tiny holes in there so the oxygen can get in and out, and you'll catch them. So it's absolutely full of them in there now. So what I've got my good old trusty Pyrex bowl, and now what I'm going to do is just take some water out of here because that's full of holes, so I can't lift it out because it'll drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of water out from in there carefully, like that. Stick that on the side there, and then lift that out slowly. Now there's quite a few in here. We've got a couple of cherries in there as well. I'll put that back in there because there's a few snails still stuck in there. And as you can see, there's quite a few. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set you up on the bench next to that new little Matten filter tank that we've cycled through now, which is running great. So I'll just swing you around this way, past the goldfish. I'm just going to pause you for a minute, and I'm going to set you up and try and get you an above a bird's eye view of all these little guys, and you can see what they look like close up. Right guys, there you go. As you can see, I'll try and zoom in a little bit closer for you. But you can see they've got a lovely tiger stripe pattern to them. There's one little Bloody Mary in there as well, and some of them have got quite orangey backs to them, which is quite interesting, being the hybridized. And this is what happens, as I've said before in my other videos, where I've had the Bloody Marys, as you can see there, and the yellow Sakuras that I keep in the shrimp room as well. There's one there with a very, oh sorry, I spooked the life out of them there. There's one with a very slight tint of blue to it as well, or a couple in there with a tint of blue. I'm not sure if you can see that one right there. I should get a hang about. I'll grab my little pointing stick. It'll be easier than my fingers getting in the way, but you can see down there, there's some with some blue going through them, some with some orange, some are a bit darker than others, but they've got this lovely tiger stripe pattern going down the side, and this is the result of those two breeding together and coming out with these little mutations, which I think are fantastic. And I've got so many of them, but I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to drip acclimate them now, and we're going to put them into our little Matten filter tank that we've cycled through now, which is looking great. So I'll set you up again and we'll start dripping these little chaps in. In fact, what I'll do is I'll show you actually how I do it, in case you're new to the channel and you haven't seen shrimps drip acclimated before. I'll take you through that process quickly, okay? Right, okay, we've got our tank now, which they're going to go in. This one here. And here's all these little guys. I've just emptied some water out, and now we're going to start drip acclimating them in. Now it's very important that you do this slowly, guys, if you're new to shrimp keeping. And what I've made is my little drip acclimator, which I made out of these little thermoplastic straws, which quite a few of you have made now, and you've made all sorts out of them. You've been emailing me and messaging me on YouTube as well, saying that you've been making all sorts out of these things, and they're really handy. So if you're unsure of that, I've got a video on how to make that, and it basically then just slips over the top of the tank into the tank, locks itself in place. Got a little valve on the end there, which I get from a friend who works in a hospital. So they're basically off of a drip that we use for humans actually. So and they're very handy to have. They come with all different bits on. I've just snapped that piece off there, sorry. And you get a very handy little tap which you can get a very good drip on, because that's what it's designed to do. And you can give it a little suck, and you'll see the water coming down the pipe. And there it comes. And then we can turn that off. There you go, that's that turned off now. And now we need to just put it on the edge. And then we just need a very, very slow drip, maybe one. There you go. I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to leave it like that now for a couple of hours, just to let that slowly take the water from the tank that they're going to go in, and they're going to go, and it's slowly dripping into there now, which is mixing with the water that they're used to, and that will slowly acclimatise them or acclimate them to their new home. So we've got to wait now, and it's a patience game. Never rush doing this part, guys, because you can shock shrimp so easy, and they'll die on you very, very quickly. You've got to make sure the TDS is spot on. The TDS in here is quite a bit lower than it was in the pond. Obviously, with all the plants and the different substrates and things in there, the TDS was quite high in there. In fact, I can just do a reading now with the old trusty pen. If you haven't got one of these, guys, you want to go and get one. They're absolutely fantastic. They do your temperature and they do the TDS. As you can see, it's all set on 0 in there, but I can put that into where they are. And that's actually lower than I thought. That's 175 TDS in there. I thought that was going to be about 250, to be honest, in that little mini pond. And if we put it into the one up above now, we're reading 116, which is fine. So we've got to make sure now that those two mix up, and once they equal up, the TDS equals up, so we've got the same TDS in each, in the tank and in the bowl, same temperature, then we can add them in to the into the tank a bit later on. But I won't take you through that because it's a long process. So I'm going to go and have a cup of tea now, I think. Put the kettle on, and I'll get back to you in a bit. I'm just going to reset this trap again. Just show you how I do that. All I use is some of the old pellets there. These are the ones I had, some JBL, some little prawn, Nova prawn, which are a great little food supplement for your shrimps as well. Little pellet form they are, like that. So we just put a few of those in the bottom of our little Coke bottle. We invert the lid, just slowly compress that in there so it locks in place. And what I tend to do is just get a bit of sandpaper and just rough up that area there, so as they go on, it gives their little legs something to grab hold of, and into the trap a lot easier. And then I'm going to pop this back into the tank, into the little pond. And that's set again for another. That's been in there overnight. I would have thought I'd have caught most of them, but you always get a couple of stragglers lurking about, and I can always net those out later on, and put them in later and acclimate them in later on. But I've got the majority in there now, so we'll slowly acclimate these guys, and then we'll get them in the tank. Okay, so I'll see you in a while. Okay guys, we're back in the shed. All these little guys are happily acclimated now. We got a TDS equal in there to the same in there. Same temperature, which is 20 degrees Celsius. Just give it a last check over. We got 134 in there. And 134 in there. So that's perfect stuff. Let's clean that off, put the lid back on. Now we can stop this dripper. Then take that one out of there. Very handy little gadget that, guys. Just going to empty this water out of the drip acclimator now. And then we can hang that back up out the way. So I'll put that over there for the time being. Right, these little chaps now are all happy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slowly tip them back in, and you'll see them going back into the aquarium now. Any minute now they should start coming out. There they go. Fly free, my little mates. Check the bowl, make sure there's none left in there, because sometimes they do hop up and stick to the side sometimes and you can miss them, so make sure you throw them all in. And there they are, all happy in their new little home, racing about, straight to work. Some of these females, there's one female there which has gone onto the walnut. I'll take you out of the tripod, move that out the way. Round one. Well, I'll just zoom out a minute. There's that female there on the top of the coconut there. She's full of berries already. Look at that. Not already since she's been in the tank, but we put her in there and I didn't realise that she had any in there. It was a bit dark in the pond. I couldn't really see a lot in there, but I'll see if she'll come around again. But all these other little guys are all busy now. That little walnut is spinning around there. There she is. You can just see her there by that Bloody Mary. She's got a slight reddish tinge to her as well. But she's full of berries, that one, which is nice, because we'll have some more and see what comes out with these. Bit of debris stirred up in the water, but that will soon settle and get filtered out with that extra water and a few droppings gone in there. As you can see, they're on the filter already, feeding away on that biofilm that's been building up on there over the last 3 weeks. We've been cycling this. They're quite effective, those little walnuts. The snails are all over them as well. I think what I'm going to do with this tank, I'm going to mix in a load of different types of Neocaridina species in here, different ones, and just see what happens really. It's quite interesting to see what happens when they interbreed and what colours come out. Magic stuff. Well, they all seem very happy in there. There's a few food particles that you can see on the floor there as well, on the sand bed. But I won't feed anything in here now for probably a good week. There's a bit of food in there, and there'll be a lot of biofilm which is created in there over that time, so they'll have plenty to feed on, and that'll keep the those nitrates down to a minimum. But with the way that filter's working, as you can see, it's just an airlift filter there. If you go back and see how we created that. But that's just air, that is bringing it up to that spray bar, and we put a lot of that media all the way through there, through some of the biohome, all the way through. So that's going to be creating that that bacteria that we're after, the anaerobic bacteria. Because we've got the aerobic bacteria forming everywhere else in the sponges and everywhere else, but it's the anaerobic bacteria in the tube there that we want to try and accelerate and get that growing in there. A couple of months that'll be working spot on. But it's turned out a nice little tank. I've got the pothos plant in there as well. That'll be feeding as well the water hyacinth as well. On the top, that'll be taking all the nitrates out and all helping out as well. You see that little bit of duct tape there, which is just, it's not in the water, it's out the water, but I put that there because I drilled a couple of little air holes in the top just to release some of that pressure, and then I just covered them up again and put little pinholes through there, so it's just the right amount of air going in now with that water bringing it up, the air bringing it up and then coming through. We're getting a nice little spray, which is working great. You lot looking nice and hungry still, so we'll give you a bit of food, I think. There you go, have some food. As I said before, guys, I've got them on the wheat germ and the garlic now. We've taken them off the high protein food, and we've got them on the wheat germ and garlic because of the my goodness, they're very active today, and the water temperature is 14.8. But we're still very active with the covers on outside, all covered in leaves. I don't know if you can see out there, but they're all covered in leaves, looking awful. I must clean these windows, they look horrible. But inside here, it's like another world for them. It's all that temperature and that warmth being kept in. We've got lots of oxygen being created still here. And everyone's looking good, nice and healthy, which is good to see before they go down for their hibernation for the winter. Okay, well, they're all in, guys, all looking healthy and nice. Just the job. That living wall's coming on really nicely. And if we go this way, oh yes, look at that, we got the pumpkins. What we're going to do for this Halloween, we're going to be feeding our pumpkin, some of the pumpkin, to our shrimps and see how they get along with that. And I'm going to be carving out some funky little things on these pumpkins as well, so stay tuned for that one. You've got the glass in the background there. We're going to pick that up this week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, hopefully, and then we can get sticking all this lot together and getting this new big tank build underway, which I'm itching to get into. Bit, you know, a bit let down with the glass, but there you go. These things do happen, and that's all you can do about it. You just wait until these things, until it turns up, which is going to this week definitely. So we're going to be making a start at some point this week. And we got the old pumpkins over there. I love doing these. I carve them out for my daughter every year, and we put them in the window because we get all the kids around doing their trick-or-treat and stuff. And I always do a couple. So we'll be doing a Halloween special, and here in the workshop, make it look all spooky. And I'll be carving, like I say, I think I'm going to go on a Game of Thrones or something theme this year, do a bit different than the old jack-o'-lanterns and stuff that everybody else seems to do. I thought I'd do something a little bit different. and so stay tuned for that one. If you see up on the wall there, guys, so I've got my 100,000 views certificate there and my 1,000 subscribers certificate there, which we've printed off as a little milestone for the channel and hung them up in here just to remind me how far it's come so soon, and it's all down to you guys, so thanks very much for that. Don't forget, we've still got that JBL test kit to give away when we hit the 2,000 subscribers, so if you're new to the channel, pop back and see that. I've done a video on the box and what's in it, and what you can win, so pop back and have a look at that one if you've missed it. Yeah, it's mad looking back, guys, on all the videos that I've done since we started this channel. The way I had all my machines up on the bench here and different things, and how it's slowly changing over time. It's nice to look back on the old videos and see how much it's changed. But I'm really excited to get this big tank built up on the wall here, so we can have an amazing backdrop tank to the bench, and we can put all sorts of different weird and wonderful things in there for you guys to look at while we're doing these little DIY builds. So, as always, guys, look after yourselves, love you all, you're all stars, and I'll see you on the next episode of Mark's Aquatics. Take care, bye for now.